In part 1, we talked about the horse at the gate, the hustle, the convenience, the echo chambers. But in part 2, we're going inside the operation because I need you to understand something. This isn't about abstract theory. This is about the rent being late, the job that ghosted you after 3 interviews, the savings account that hit 2 weeks ago. Trust me, fam, I get it. The world is hurting right now. Jobs are scarce. Income is vanishing. And when you're staring at that reality, letting down your digital guard feels like the only move left. But that's exactly when the gates swing widest.
The question that keeps me awake isn't what they sold us. It's how we bought it.
How do you convince a city to drag its own destruction through the gates? How do you make the victim pull the rope, especially when the victim is just trying to keep the lights on? The Greeks didn't beat Troy with strength. They beat them with sequence, a strategy of a moment so precise that the Trojans collaborated in their own fall. And here's what you need to hear up front. Your instinct that this feels like a pyramid, that scamish feeling when you see another "I made $40,000 in 30 days" post, that's not cynicism. That's your survival brain trying to warn you while your desperation brain is trying to eat.
The numbers back you up. But more than that, the streets are going to back you up. Walk through any neighborhood where the factory is closed, where the layoffs hit, where the gig economy chewed people up and spat them out. You find the hustle there, real, prevalent, and preying on the vulnerable with a surgical precision.
The Trojan Horse myth isn't ancient history. It's happening right now in your Instagram DMs, in the Facebook groups for entrepreneurs, in the TikTok comments where someone just like you found the secret. Every stage of the original story mirrors a psychological tactic being used today, especially in the creator economy where the product isn't the course. The product is hope. And hope is expensive when you're desperate. I'm going to walk you through 3 stages: the infiltration, the sedation, and the extraction. And then the rope, the social proof that makes you pull all 3. The infiltration, the abandoned gift. Picture the beach again. 10 years of war, 10 years of waking up to bronze and blood. And then silence. The Greeks are gone. They left something behind, a horse the size of a temple, sitting in the sand, unguarded, unclaimed. This is the crucial detail. They didn't try to sell it. They didn't wheel it to the gates with a pitch. They abandoned it, made it look like spoils, like something the Trojans were discovering rather than receiving. This is how the infiltration works when you're vulnerable. It bypasses your sales resistance because it doesn't look like a sale, it looks like rescue. Think about the last time you were scrolling at 2 a.m. because you couldn't sleep, because the bills were stacking and your brain wouldn't shut off. And there it was, a free masterclass, a value-packed thread about how she went from food stamps to 6 figures in 8 months. No one was selling you anything. It was just there on the beach, a gift from someone who just wants to see you win. But here's what happens when you drag that horse inside, especially when you're desperate. You aren't downloading a shortcut. You're inviting in a surveillance system designed to map exactly where you're bleeding. That free PDF, it tracked which page you lingered on, the one about escaping the 9 to 5 or making your first $10,000. that webinar chat, they were watching who typed, "I'm ready to change my life" at 2:17 a.m. They know desperation has a timestamp.
The Trojans thought they were salvaging a prize. You think you're downloading hope. But the Greeks didn't leave the horse for Troy to use. They left it for Troy to want. And wanting, needing, is the infiltration. The moment you decide you need the thing more than you need to know what's inside it, the gate is already open. And when you're hungry, you'll open gates you never would have touched when you were full. The sedation, the perfidious speech of Sinon. Now the horse is inside. But the soldiers don't climb out yet. They wait. Because first, they need the city to sleep, to stop thinking, to stop questioning. Don't forget Sinon. Left behind, bound and beaten, looking like a victim. When the Trojans find him, he doesn't praise the horse. He cries. He tells them he was an outcast, betrayed by his own, barely escaped with his life. He makes the Trojans feel like saviors for rescuing him. Sound familiar? Sinon is in your DMs right now, the creator who posts the video from their car. I was living in this thing 6 months ago. Now I work from the beach. The "I was just like you" narrative. The $50,000 in debt, sleeping on my sister's couch until I found this one secret story. The vulnerability that arrives precisely calibrated to disarm you, especially when you're one missed payment from being there yourself. It's the psychology you don't see in the marketing courses because they don't want you to see it. When someone discloses emotional pain, your brain releases oxytocin. You bond, you trust, not because they've earned it, but because they've triggered your caregiving instinct. The same neural pathway that makes you comfort a crying child makes you open your wallet to a crying millionaire, especially when their crying story looks like your current reality. Sinon didn't look like a soldier. He looks like a victim. When a creator tells you they were $50,000 in debt until they found this one secret, they are playing Sinon. They aren't selling a product. They are selling the sedation required for you to lower your guard and open your gates while you're drowning. And they're throwing you a rope attached to their bank account. But the sedation goes deeper. Sinon doesn't just make you feel safe. He makes you feel chosen. He tells the Trojans the horse is sacred, that bringing it inside will make them invincible. This is the sacred FOMO, and it hits different when you're desperate. The countdown timer isn't just urgency, it's the door closing on your last chance. The wealth transfer language isn't just hype, it's the promise that you won't be left behind while everyone else gets saved. You see this in the "I only take 10 students" scarcity. The doors close at midnight, but those are just mechanics. The real weapon is the story that you are special, that you have been chosen to see this opportunity, that the old rules don't apply to you because you're different. You're awake, you're ready, while everyone else is still sleeping on their potential. The Trojans broke down their own walls just to fit the horse inside. Think about that. They destroyed their own defenses to accommodate a lie. When you max out a credit card for a mastermind because you believe it's the only way out. When you quit your job on the promise of passive income because you can't survive another month in the cubicle. When you leverage your relationships to build a downline because you've burned every other bridge. You aren't being conquered. You're being co-opted. You're pulling the rope you're sawing through your own gate because someone convinced you that the horse was your destiny and you were too hungry to check the belly.
And here's where my pyramid instinct starts screaming, because I've watched it happen. The sedation doesn't end with the purchase, it ends with the transformation. When you stop being the customer and become the collateral. When the person who bought the dream realizes the only way to survive is to sell it to someone else who's drowning just like they were. The extraction, the torch bearers. In the digital age, the soldiers in the belly aren't men with swords. They're algorithms and debt structures. They're engagement loops and sunk cost psychology. They're the 18% interest rate on the course you put on a credit card because you believed it would teach you how to pay off credit cards. They're the content calendar that demands you perform success before you've eaten today. The soldiers in the belly aren't men with swords. They are 18% interest rates and the endless engagement loops that force you to keep posting, selling, and performing. Because if you stop, you have to face what you actually built. Here's what extraction actually looks like when you're desperate. You buy the course because you need it to work. You need it to work because there's no plan B. You realize it wasn't the shortcut promised. The secret was just basic SEO you could have learned on YouTube. The proprietary system was just a funnel template. But now you're in the community. You see other people, probably bots, probably plants, posting their wins. Just made my first $1,000. You feel the shame of being the only one that's succeeding, and shame is a powerful silencer when you're already vulnerable. So you don't demand a refund. You double down. You buy the upsell, the advanced mastermind, the inner circle access. And when that doesn't work either, you realize the only way to recoup your loss is to become part of the lie. You become an affiliate. You start posting your own journey. You start selling the same course to your followers, not because it worked, but because you need them to buy in so you can get out. You need their desperation to fund your survival. You are no longer the victim of the Trojan Horse. You are the torch bearer. You're lighting the fire that burns your own city because the algorithm has made it more profitable to perform success than to admit failure. And you need that performance to eat. And this is why my pyramid instinct is correct. Let's talk about the numbers they don't want you to see, the numbers that matter when you're already on the edge. The get-rich course industry operates on a mathematical reality that would make a casino blush. In business models driven by recruitment, master resale rights, MLMs, the whole ecosystem of buy this to learn how to sell this. Independent research submitted to the FTC shows that over 99% of participants lose money or fail to make a profit after expenses. Not 50%, not 70%, 99%. Let that sit. 99%. When you're desperate, you'll tell yourself you're the 1%. But the math doesn't care about your hope. The top tier trap. A study of 70 MLM income disclosure statements by the FTC revealed the vast majority of participants earned less than $84 per month before expenses.
$84 for the laptop lifestyle. For the financial freedom, that's not freedom. That's a shift meal that cost you $2,000 to earn.
But it gets worse. Because even if you're in that 1% who makes something, you're not making it from the product. You're making it from the recruitment. The course's primary value isn't the content, it's the resale rights. The 100% profit margins they promise, that's not profit from value created. That's profit from passing the same PDF to the next desperate person in line. And mathematically, that line has to end. There aren't enough new buyers to sustain the chain. The market saturates, the commodity devalues, and the people at the bottom, your followers, your friends, the people who trusted you because they were drowning just like you, hold the bag. The completion crisis is the final insult. Traditional online courses have a median completion rate of 12.6%. For Get Rich courses specifically, estimates suggest 94% of enrollees never even finish the modules. They paid for the feeling of starting a business. They paid for the sedation. They paid for hope. And the creators know this. They bank on it. The business model depends on passive buyers who fund the operation without ever actually launching, because launching would mean realizing the horse was empty. The rope of social proof, pulling the horse through the gates. So when you see that Sarah in New York just bought this pop-up, when you see the 10,000 plus happy students badge, that's the rope. Big tech and the creator economy use vanity metrics, likes, followers, 10,000 plus happy students to create a bandwagon effect. Social proof makes us do what others are doing. The weight of the crowd, the illusion that if everyone else is pulling, the strain must be worth it. But your neighbors aren't real. They are bot-generated reviews and influencer-curated success stories. They're the synthetic social proof that triggers your bandwagon instinct. The ancient brain shortcut that says, if the herd is running, you better run too. The herd isn't running from danger. It's running toward a constructed narrative. And when you grab the rope, when you like the post, share the hype video, become the affiliate, you aren't finding safety. You're pulling that horse into your own city with both hands, and you don't even know what's inside. The Trojans didn't just let the horse in, they strained to pull it in. They broke their own walls because they saw their neighbors pulling the rope. Today, your neighbors are bot-generated reviews and influencer-curated success stories. Every time you like a get-rich-quick post or share a hype video, you're grabbing the rope and helping pull that horse into your own city while you're trying to help someone else who you think is just like you. The Greeks didn't have to fight to get into Troy. They just had to make the Trojans feel like they were the only ones left outside. That's the extraction. Turning your fear of exclusion into the mechanism of your destruction. Especially when exclusion means eviction, hunger, being left behind while everyone else gets saved. They're in your phone, the 18% interest rates, the engagement loops that force you to keep posting, keep selling, keep performing, the sunk cost that whispers, you've come too far to quit now, when every instinct says run. But you can't run because you need this to work. You need it. You have no choice but to need it. You aren't the king of Troy in this scenario. You're the one holding the torch for the people burning your house down. So, the infiltration used your desires, your need to survive. The sedation used your empathy, your need to believe someone else made it out so you can too. The extraction uses your resources, every dollar you don't have. And the social proof uses your need for belonging, your fear of being the only one left outside while the city burns. This isn't a conspiracy, it's a choreography. A sequence of psychological moments so precise that you collaborate in your own occupation, especially when occupation looks like opportunity. And the exit, if there is one, isn't comfortable. Because by the time you realize the soldiers are inside, you've already become one. You've already posted the testimonial, recruited your friend, lit the torch. You've already told someone else that this works, that they should buy in, that their desperation has an answer because you needed it to be true for you. I don't take shortcuts from strangers. I don't accept gifts that require me to lower the gate, not because I'm smarter than anyone who did, because I've been desperate too. I've stared at the screen at 2 a.m. I've wanted to believe, but letting down your digital guard isn't always the answer. Sometimes it's just the fastest way to lose what little you have left. The hustle of digital resale is real, more prevalent than we think. And it's going to cause more financial harm than good. Not always, but often enough that you need to know what you're looking at. The war isn't coming. It's already here. And the battlefield is the space between your ears when you're tired, when you're scared, when you just need something to work. Keep the gates closed. Check the belly. And if someone is selling you hope on a rope, let go of the rope.
Until next time.